Hey guys, Henry here, back for another video. Today's going to be the first rendition of my monthly news roundup within fashion, called The Lowdown. I know, very smart. I actually want to give a shout out to George on my TikTok. He very kindly gave the suggestion of doing this sort of monthly roundup where I talk on things a bit more in depth. Because I already have a series on there where weekly I discuss fashion news, what's happened, this and that. But I guess having a monthly roundup means I can go a bit more in depth and give a bit more context around things. I guess the main talking point I think in fashion this month is how clear it now seems of celebrities having a big effect on the fashion scene and fashion as a whole. Now you've got the likes of Taylor Russell, you know, pretty much the go-to girl for everything Loewe, and JW Anderson, especially when I think she was wearing the clay outfit that time. That was amazing. Next Out in the Winter, so good. The main person I want to talk about is Zendaya and the look she's been bringing out for this Dune 2 rollout. They've been amazing, and Laura Roach, her stylist, deserves all the praise he can get for, I guess, ultimately having the pull to bring in these pieces. I have followed this amazing account on Instagram. It's called Data But Make It Fashion. If you're interested in any sort of analytics or I guess more nerdy stuff behind fashion and quantifiable data behind things, they do amazing stuff there in really digestible amounts too. But they did a post around her and they said that she gets 109% more likes than any other celebrity when she's posting outfit photos on Instagram, which is quite a drastic improvement on everybody else in the industry. Talking about the look she's been seen in, so I think kicking it off, amazing custom Louis Vuitton look in Paris, looks great. Obviously can't knock a custom Louis Vuitton look. I love the Bottega look she wore in Mexico City too. I think it was a runway look that then was tweaked to her liking. She looked great in it. And the thing that's really good is I didn't feel like any of the outfits she came out in weren't on theme with the film she was showing off, which always makes it so much more interesting. But one of the biggest ones, first and foremost, was that Mugler full 95 robotic suit. I cannot believe somebody's rocked up to the premiere in this. It's sublime, the sheer craftsmanship that went into this. The actual piece itself was inspired by the film Metropolis, if any of you know of that. So to say it's a real ode to all things science fiction is an understatement. It looked perfectly fitting for the London premiere and was perfect for Dune as well. The reach you must have, like I've said, is crazy. To be able to have access to these pieces, you know, it's not something that's just handed out to anyone. It's very exclusive, very historic. She then was also seen at the Seoul premiere wearing Givenchy full 99 look, designed by the true great Alexander McQueen. It had this detailed circuit board design throughout it, which I just have a real thing for circuit board designs. I think they always look really cool, come across really nicely. So another one that perfectly met that theme of Dune, and yeah, and another amazing look, amazing historic piece that she's had access to and pulled off flawlessly. Overall for me, this is a very important reference point for the appeal and engagement certain celebrities can have. I think we're in an era where a lot of people are getting quite bored of the traditional influencers. I think people potentially are going back to being a bit more interested in the true, you know, actresses and the true celebrities bringing something to the table at these award events and everything, and I think they've really been stepping it up across the board. So it's definitely something to keep your eye on. Unfortunately, on a menswear side, the guys cannot dress for any award show or any premiere really. Can't wait for somebody to suddenly be pulling out serious look. Come on, at least get some cool suits going on. You can do better, guys. I think Zendaya is an amazing, amazing actress. I think she's definitely somebody who now I see as a fashion icon and maybe didn't before this rollout, but she's definitely somebody I can't ignore in terms of her presence in the fashion scene. Another key talking point next that I want to discuss is sustainability in fashion. It's a bit of a buzzword at the minute. There seems to be a bit more of an appeal towards people paying interest to this, people understanding fast fashion and the negative impacts that have. I think it's been really damaging almost with the Fall Winter 24 runways that prior to this year. It seemed like, especially in like retail spaces and the brands themselves, a big step away from using fur, quite unethical processes, and there was bans put in place, people not selling them anymore, which basically forced these brands to ditch it. And for some reason this season they seem back and almost bigger than ever. I think the big issue with it is fundamentally fur or faux fur. There is no better choice really. It's just either the lesser of two evils, and it's about ultimately doing them in the right way and the most ethical way, which is difficult in fashion because the sheer volumes are using it in, it's just not possible. You end up contributing to waste and stuff if you're not actually wearing these pieces. I think if we could move towards fur being extracted in a more ethical way, that'd be perfect, but it's just not possible in fashion, and I think that's why it's better to take a step away from it altogether than be trying to test the limits, so to speak. But then on the other hand, there was some good news this month with sustainability. In 2022, there was unfortunately a big decline in the investment of next-gen materials, basically getting alternatives to these unethical fabric. And in 2023, $500 million being invested in it, which is a drastic increase from the previous year. So there's definitely progress being made. It's just about having a collective effort to all move in the right direction with it. The main two sort of fabrics that I'm seeing a lot of attention towards are bioengineered silks and plant-based leathers. The most interesting one of these is very much the bioengineered spider silk, because it cuts out the need to just use these spiders solely to make silk. I think there's still a lot of work going into this, but as soon as they crack it, it's going to be major, because it also means they can probably produce it in far higher quantities in a lot more obviously ethical way. Really conscious, I think, in general of sustainability, and I think the things we have to take on board is that fashion as an industry is not sustainable. So it's more about understanding how we can move towards becoming, say, a net zero carbon industry, or just doing everything we can to rid additional consumption and rid additional waste being added. Just a reminder as well, if you're new around here, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below what you think about some of the news I've chatted about. It helps me out a great deal, and I've got plenty more content coming soon. Another big talking point this month, especially within the UK fashion scene, is Matches Fashion unfortunately being put up for administration by the Frasers Group. Looking like it's all but gone now. It was acquired in December, just gone for 52 million by Frasers Group, so was snapped up, and unfortunately in what, 4 months they've now decided that it's not worth their time. It was valued in 2017 at close to $1 billion, I think I've read, so it's a clear sign of how drastically downhill the fashion and luxury retail space has gone. I think there was a massive issue around 2017 and then moving into COVID of the tech bubble and the tech boom of the time, that a lot of these fashion retailers got sucked up into that, and by getting sucked up into that, they were just overvalued massively because of the growth they were experiencing and because of the big shift in consumer habits from moving out of the stores and onto online. Just made them more powerful players. I think the main thing to take from it as well is, I don't know about you guys and how often you shopped on Matches or still look on Matches going forward. For me, I think there was so much fodder on that site. Like, there's so many brands on there that I've not heard of that seem to do nothing but carry a drastically high price tag, and I don't know why. They don't seem to ever not have a product from a brand. From a business standpoint, how are you buying constantly new bits for every season that seemingly from brands like Celine and Saint Laurent, where stuff doesn't really change season on season? You've got a massive issue in terms of stock, and just you don't have things outgoing to then warrant this stuff incoming. I think especially considering how prevalent their personal shopping clients were and how drastically it seems that that fell off the cliff, it's important to understand that the people from my perspective who are doing the best are the ones that are balancing luxury with those emerging, I guess, more streetwear and bedroom brand operators. You always have to have stuff flying off the shelves in the nicest way, whether that be a 40 quid t-shirt, or if for some reason everybody wants, say, a Loewe vest, you have to have that product, and if you don't have it at the right time and don't have it in the right numbers, it can really cripple your business. I think as well, in terms of all that fodder on Matches website, they were known when they started out as having this perfect curation in each of their individual stores that they had in London. So to see them lose that unrivaled curation, it's quite sad. sad, and that was the backbone of their business. As soon as they had this outside investment, that just went out the window because fundamentally they had to just see growth constantly. For me, and I imagine a lot of people would agree with me, that the industry leaders in recent times within luxury retail have been Essence. They're probably a bad example in terms of they do have everything from every brand and they have everything you'd ever want, but I think they're very clued in with the fashion industry, the trends, the social media behind it, and they're reactive first and foremost. I think the thing that captures that so perfectly is with Tabbygate and the Tabby swindler, or whatever people called it, that they were the ones sending the girl who had her tabbies robbed a pair of tabbies. Like, think about how organic that attention is. They seemingly were so on the ball to be the only ones to think to do that. It's so clever and just perfectly captures what they're all about. I think in my eyes, the best way to look at this in a positive light is almost that if more retailers are heading in the same direction as Matches, it's almost a case of a realignment of that luxury retail portfolio, like cutting out the dead weight, survival of the fittest. I think many historic retailers are simply being left behind due to dated strategies, and if you go into any of these luxury department stores now, you can kind of see that fashion isn't what they're all about anymore. You've got food, drink, experience, cinemas in the same place. It's just all encompassing, and I also think it gives great opportunity for smaller, more independent retailers to flourish, ones who are really putting time and effort and thought into perfect curation and helping nurture emerging brands, building relationships. Two stores which I love right now are H-Town and Broken Arm. I think they're perfect in capturing everything that a retailer should be about. They don't have too much product on there, they don't have too much bloating going on, but they have these brands where the products they offer from them are second to none. They're unrivaled, and by doing that, they then have access to bringing in clientele who are interested in those brands, and people can't get that product elsewhere. I think also it's important to realise that after COVID, I think brands really understood the power of D2C and how they no longer need retailers to be selling their product. I think a lot of brands are following the models of, say, Nike, who famously cut all their independent retailers a few years ago. I've heard Acne are heading the same way, trying to become more of a D2C base. I don't think that brands need the retailers anymore. The retailers need the brands, and the power is definitely shifting. Then my final summary for this month, or final thing I want to talk about, is collaborations, and collaborations for the sake of collaborating. I can't remember who touched on it on TikTok, but someone made a really good point about how collaborations seem to just be part and parcel now. They're just done to put two names to a release rather than being one, to try and get a bit more of a buzz around it, and there doesn't really seem to be much collaborating going on. One of the reasons that many people are bored of Balenciaga is the collaborations for the sake of it. Like, do we actually want to be wearing Balenciaga eBay product? Do we actually want to be wearing Balenciaga Air One product? The answer is no. You have some great examples of how collaborations can work. I'd argue that the Louis Vuitton capsule done by Tyler the Creator is a great example of this, and this is probably because they have invited him to design their products. They've invited him to put his own take on their brand, and by doing that, it means that it is collaborative in a way that Tyler uses Louis Vuitton's platform, Louis Vuitton's branding, and uses it in his own unique style and his own unique way. So you get something very personal and very different from another collaboration that Louis Vuitton may do. And that is really fun, energetic, it brings new life into the brand, it brings more people into the brand, more people are interested in the product, and then it helps everybody out. People are then questioning Pharrell's capabilities as creative director. Is Tyler a better creative director? So it gives him a bit of kudos, and then it also makes Louis Vuitton maybe look a bit cooler than it has done recently. I think great examples of this are also long-standing developmental collaborations. These are the likes of your Asics Kiko lines, your Asics Kiko Design Studio, where they gave him the freedom to create product for them with his name, and then that has led to a subsidiary line coming through, and then it develops into Asics Novelist, and it just gives people who maybe don't have the access or the money to afford Kiko's pieces because they are expensive, but it gives them access to them at affordable, and it brings more people interested into Kiko as a designer. It makes ASICS look a lot cooler and more appealing, and I think ASICS are real champions of getting collaborations right. And then you have things like your Nike Travis Scott or your Nike Off-White the 10 Virgil Abloh collection, where there really is conscious effort to creating something unique and putting a new twist on stuff we've seen before, in some ways revolutionizing the space they're in. I think before we saw the 10 from Virgil Abloh and Nike, we never thought we'd see anything like that, and didn't even know that those sorts of pairs were possible. When they came out, they did change a lot of the design language and what people liked from shoes, and you could see that by the demand and how crazy people went for them. And I think these build and capitalize on a gap in the market. They breathe new life into a brand and product and show its full capabilities, and they showed the designer or the creator in question's full capabilities too. And to me, a collaboration should do all these things. As soon as these things are lost, then the collaboration is lost in essence. I think we can look at things that happened this month like Land Rover and Stussy. I don't really get what's going on there. I understand that there's a bit of a project there and it'll be interesting to see, but we're just going to see a product made that nobody's going to have access to. No one's actually going to get anything out of it, so why are you making this? And then another big talking point is Marc Jacobs' 40th anniversary and him inviting the likes of Pharrell Williams, Sinead Emery, Takashi Murakami, these great designers that they've worked previously with. My concern with this sheer quantity of collaborations that will come out of it is that we'll just get bored of it so quickly. I think it loses the intrigue when you're bombarded by the same stuff over and over again. Not that it will be all the same stuff, but more so that how many 40th anniversary Marc Jacobs X whoever collections can we really be bothered to see and really be bothered to give our energy to. All in all, I think there's a lot that's happened this month, especially with all the fashion weeks going on and the previous month as well, but I'd be intrigued to see what you guys think about all of it. Let me know in the comments if you've got any key points I might have missed about these, because that's the thing as well. I'd love to just use these more as a platform for discussion and learning more, correcting any mistakes I might have made, and hopefully bringing some new opinions to the table for all of us. That's it from me anyways, guys. Have a great rest of your day, and I hope to catch you in the next one.